everyone, this is the fourth video tutorial about antidiabetic agents. In previous 3 lectures of antidiabetic agents, we have seen introduction and types of diabetes and all the information about insulin. In this video lecture, we are going to discuss insulin preparations. Antidiabetic drugs has major 2 classes, insulin preparations and oral hypoglycemic agents. And in this lecture, we are going to discuss specifically insulin preparations. So first, antidiabetic drugs. Simply, the drugs which are used to manage diabetes are known as antidiabetic drugs. These drugs are used to stabilize and control blood glucose level. As we know, in diabetes, our blood glucose level is altered, and to stabilize and control it, antidiabetic drugs are used. Antidiabetic drugs are classified into 2 main classes. First one is insulin preparations and second one is oral hypoglycemic agents. Insulin preparations are used in type 1 diabetes, while oral hypoglycemic drugs are used in type 2 diabetes. Insulin preparations and strict dietary informations must be followed in type 1 diabetes. There is no other treatment than this for type 1 diabetes. For insulin preparations, insulin can be obtained from various sources. As in all conventional preparations, insulin was obtained from animal sources, and those animals can be beef or porcine. But due to some important differences in amino acids in human and these animals, the insulins obtained from these animals produces antigenic reactions in human body, and so that's why they are now not widely used. The insulin preparations obtained from animal sources are replaced by more safe and highly purified human insulins after the development of recombinant DNA technology. Using this technology, we can obtain insulin from human bodies, and because they are obtained from human only, they are more safe and purified, and they do not produce any antigenic reactions in human body. So, these new preparations which are obtained from human bodies and prepared by recombinant DNA technology are now widely used by developed countries. But still, the insulin preparations which are obtained from animal sources are used by some developing countries due to economical reasons. Based on duration of action, insulin preparations can be classified into 3 categories: short-acting, intermediate and long-acting, and very long-acting insulin preparations. Short-acting insulin preparations have duration of action about 12 hours, intermediate-acting preparations have duration of action about 24 hours, and long-acting preparations have 36 hours. And very long-acting insulin preparations have duration of action more than 36 hours. Short-acting 12 hours, intermediate 24 hours, long-acting 36 hours, and very long-acting more than 36 hours. Short-acting preparations are subclassified into regular and semi-lente insulin, and intermediate and long-acting preparations are classified into 5 subclasses: globin zinc, lente insulin, isofen insulin, ultralente insulin, and protamine zinc insulin. And among these 5 subclasses, globin zinc, lente, and isofen insulins are intermediate acting, and ultralente and protamine zinc insulins are long acting. You can see here the various preparations, their composition, pH, their duration of action, and their duration action, means short or intermediate or long acting. See, regular and semi-lente insulins are short acting. The duration of action of regular insulin is about 5 to 7 hours, and semi-lente insulin has duration of action about 12 to 16 hours. Then globin zinc, lente insulin, and isofen insulin are intermediate acting, and they have duration of action about 20 to 24 hours. And ultralente insulin and protamine zinc insulin, means PZI, are long acting, so they have duration of action about 24 to 36 hours. The main problem with the insulin preparations is the duration of action, because insulin is highly soluble in our body fluids and they are rapidly excreted. The first clinically used insulin was amorphous insulin, but it was very rapidly excreted from our body, so it needed to be replaced by the insulin preparations having long duration of action, and this replacement is done in early 1940s. You can see here in the composition of insulin preparations, commonly zinc chloride or zinc ion is used, because with this zinc, insulin forms complex which is larger in size, and so naturally its absorption is done slowly, and which longer the duration of action of insulin preparation. And globin and protamine are protein modifiers. Insulin is proteinous in nature, and this globin and protamine modify insulin and naturally prolong the duration of action. So globin and protamine are used in the insulin preparation to prolong duration of action of insulin. And the preparation, lente preparation, is the combination of ultra-lente insulin and semi-lente insulin. Lente preparation is used by combining 7 parts of ultra-lente insulin and 3 parts of semi-lente insulin, because this combination has rapid onset and intermediate duration of action, and both of these properties are desirable for well clinical acceptance of the preparation. The third class is very long acting insulin preparations, and in that the concept used is the increased concentration of zinc ions form low solubility complexes with insulin molecules if the buffer is changed from phosphate to acetate. Means in that increased concentration of zinc ions are used with insulin molecules, and the buffer is changed from phosphate to acetate, which makes their duration of action more than 36 hours. Limitations of insulin therapy. And the first limitation we have seen, their duration of action. So short-acting insulins are needed to be administered many times daily by the patient. This is the first main limitation of insulin therapy, and to overcome these limitations, intermediate long-acting and very long-acting insulin preparations are discovered. Other than these main limitations, present evidences regarding insulin therapy uncovered the many limitations of insulin, and they do not agree to recognize insulin as an ideal hypoglycemic agent. So, various problems encountered in insulin therapy are here. First one is, in the long-term insulin therapy, there is a risk of development of tumors at the site of injection, because insulin is proteinous in nature. Second, because insulin is proteinous in nature, it triggers local allergic reactions in sensitive patients, and anaphylactic shock may also occur in extreme cases. Fluctuations in blood glucose levels lead to visual disturbances, and these visual disturbances may also extend to blindness. This is mainly due to the disturbed osmotic equilibrium in our eyes. Then, if the dose schedule of insulin is not properly corrected according to the requirement of the patient, insulin therapy leads to hypoglycemic shock. Thickening of basement membrane of the several tissues, particularly kidney and vascular, leads to renal and cardiovascular impairments. And the next most severe limitation of insulin therapy is insulin resistance. Let's see what is insulin resistance. Insulin is proteinous in nature, right? And it is administered from outside in our body. So it is exogenous protein for our body, and every exogenous protein has antigenic properties to less or more extent, and natural insulin administration in almost every patient leads to the production of insulin antibodies, and these antibodies bind with insulin and decrease its effectiveness. This is known as insulin resistance. The antibodies produced by insulin itself binds with insulin and decreases their effectiveness, and this is known as insulin resistance. This is the most severe problem in insulin therapy, where the daily insulin requirement exceeds 200 units in comparison to the normal requirement of 50 units per day. This resistance thus has an immunological basis and can be solved by shifting from conventional to purified insulin therapy or from one insulin type to another insulin type. Means if we were using boiled insulin, then it can be replaced by portion insulin. What happens in this case? The insulin from another origin will be new to our body, and resistance to this insulin would not occur at least for a couple of months. This is due to the failure of our body mechanism to recognize immediately the new insulin type and therefore to generate antibodies for it. So, these are the main limitations of insulin therapy, and to overcome these limitations, insulin therapy is replaced by oral hypoglycemic agents. But in type 1 diabetes, we cannot use oral hypoglycemic agent. In type 1 diabetes, we have to use only insulin therapy with strict dietary instructions, and oral hypoglycemic agents are used in type 2 diabetes, that we will discuss in next lecture. Thank you.